I got to say, we're a little bit late, 4 minutes late because it's worth it. We fixed the audio problem. So
Yeah.
viewers, please let me know or let Jimmy know he's going to be watching. If if this is not true, we're hoping that the audio has finally been fixed.
We're on Val Johnson, right?
We are. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
On August 27th, 1979, at 1:40 in the morning, Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson was driving alone on a dark stretch of road in Marshall County, Minnesota. Minutes later, his patrol car was found in a ditch. The windshield was smashed from the inside out. Both antennas were bent at a 90-degree angle. His dashboard clock and his wristwatch were stopped at the exact same second. Deputy Johnson suffered burns on his eyes identical to somebody who looked directly into a welding torch. Isn't that crazy? He said the last thing he remembered was a bright sphere of light. It was hovering over the road and then moving towards his car. It happened faster than he could react. There were no other vehicles, no aircraft, no power lines. There's really no natural explanation for the physical damage or the missing 39 minutes of his life. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension investigated. CUFOs investigated. Dr. J. Allen Hynek's team investigated. They all reached the same conclusion. Whatever hit Deputy Johnson's patrol car was real. It was physical. It left behind measurable damage. Tonight, we're breaking this case down to the bones, the timeline, the injuries, the forensic evidence, the investigation. I want to know why this incident is considered one of the most credible close encounters in American legal law enforcement history. I'm John Genoa, and you're watching America's Strangest History Live. It's a bold claim. So let's peel back this onion. This is the Johnson encounter. Joining me again, police investigator Jimmy Molloy. Welcome, Jimmy Molloy. Welcome back.
What's up, John? Good to hear you. Over. And as I informed the chat, we have fixed our echo problems. Over.
Yeah, we did. That was actually rather clever. If you remember, if anybody's joining us and remembers, last time we were here, we had an inventive way of fixing it. And whenever one of us would finish talking, we would say over. Very, very inventive. If I can continually compliment myself.
I had so much fun doing that episode last week. That was a great time.
It was fun. Even though
What's up, Gene? Gene saying hey in the chat. XO Gene.
What's up, Gene? Even though the episode itself, I don't even think I put it out there. I don't even know if I've released it because I thought it was so bad.
No, you see, that's your own personal thing. You have to release it. It's excellent.
You know how many videos
I've
listed? So many of them. But anyway, back to this.
What's up, Chris? Chris Hood. Good to have you here.
Oh, hey, Chris. I love Chris. So what are your initial impressions before we even go on to this?
Well, I love cases like this. I'm very biased, obviously, being in law enforcement. But if you ask me, these are the cases where we have some of the most either concrete evidence or lack of evidence being your evidence to go off of. I love having police officers as witnesses, as number one encounters in these cases, because there's usually, physical evidence that we could pour our hands into, or a lack of physical evidence that you'd expect to see. Either way, we can examine this case up and down. I love it. I'm excited to dive into it.
Well, I'm going to start with a very short 2-minute interview with Deputy Johnson.
Great.
I want to start with that. And this is on the Minnesota Historical Society's, I guess, their YouTube channel. You know what? Only has 13,000 views in 4 years.
Wow.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
It also tells me this video will probably not get very much viewership because apparently nobody's interested in this. I don't know.
This isn't going to send us to the top, this video?
No, I guess not. But here we go. Ready?
Damn.
This is your compatriot.
Right here.
It was 1:40 a.m. Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson was on patrol in rural Marshall
You
County
can't see this, right?
when suddenly he saw a bright light a few feet above ground level, 2 miles down the road.
I traveled about a mile, and the light seemed to intercept me, so to speak. Came right upon me. It was painful. The light was extremely brilliant and painful. I closed my eyes and I heard the sound of breaking glass, and that's the last I remember.
Whatever it was came extremely fast. He didn't have time to be scared. He doesn't know what it was.
I have no idea. It's truly unexplainable to me, or unknown
You mean
to me.
inexplicable?
Johnson was unconscious for 40 minutes before he radioed for help and was taken to the hospital. A doctor and later an eye specialist confirmed that Johnson had suffered mild welder or flash burns to his eyes. Even stranger, both
That's a cool
Johnson's
car.
wristwatch and the electric
Classic.
clock in his patrol car had mysteriously stopped for 14 minutes. An investigator from the Center for UFO Studies in Evanston, Illinois, flew in to examine the damaged patrol car. There was no evidence of radioactivity, and neither the investigator nor the sheriff can figure how the two spring-mounted antennas became bent at almost 90-degree angles. At the scene of the accident, skid marks show Deputy Johnson coasted for 800 feet after impact before applying the brakes. The area around here has been searched, but nothing's been found. All kinds of small airplane theories have been bandied around, but Deputy Johnson clearly remembers hearing no engine noise. And nothing explains the
He remembers the
14-minute lapse in the
absence.
two timepieces nor the peculiar bending of the antennas. It's a mystery. Or, as the UFO investigator from Illinois said, it appears to have been a close encounter of the second kind. Jillian Rice, Channel 5 Eyewitness News in Marshall County.
I'll talk about that later on, actually. There's different types, CE2, close encounter 2. What she's referring to is Dr. J. Allen Hynek came up with a classification system for encountering aliens or UFOs, and I'll go through that later, but this would be technically considered of the second kind. She forgot to mention, as far as the things that are inexplicable, she forgot to mention the fact that he's inside the car and the windshield is busted out from the inside.
Yeah, that's a really key piece of evidence I was going to key on later.
But not
That
for-
is very peculiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of the evidence in this case, at least the couple pieces that I've reviewed before we taped, started recording,
Yeah.
matches up. None of it matches up. Whatever. Yeah, Chris in the chat is talking about Mulder and Scully. It's exactly. It feels like the opening to every X-Files episode ever. This crash.
Do you know what this crash reminds me of for any of our viewers that are in the UK? We did a video not too long ago about Adamski and a town called Todmorden, right? There was a guy, Ziggy Adamski, and I believe,
Yeah.
okay, so he was like, he basically disappeared, and like 5 days later, he reappeared on top of
Right.
a heap of coal. His
Yeah, like
clothes-
miles away, right?
Yeah, miles away, and his clothes were completely clean, so nobody knows how he got on top of the giant coal pile. Anyway, the reason I find this interesting is because about a month after that, there was a police officer who was responding to a call about some cows that may be missing. And he was driving down the road and he encountered a craft, what he described as he thought it was a bus at first. And as he came up to it, so it was like an egg-shaped craft. It had legs. It was on the road and it was parked there. And he did basically this exact same thing, except it didn't, he lost time as well. He lost time. He's driving and he lost a period of time.
Yeah, the lost time.
Go into a
Go
ditch.
ahead.
I was going to say he didn't go into a ditch or anything. He just blacked out and he was further down the road. But my point is, it's such a similar case. I feel right.
Yeah, the lost time phenomenon is something you hear kind of frequently when you're talking about close encounters and alien craft and things like that. It's not an uncommon thing that people report with these occurrences.
Yeah. Well, I guess the real question is what's going on in that lost time? What happened to them?
Yeah, well, that's the question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the question. Is he just, unconscious? Well, did you catch that thing about he coasted for a period of time? I just
Yeah.
thought that. Coasted a period of time before applying the brakes.
Yeah.
So that means at the very last second, at least, he was conscious. He had regained consciousness at some point, right, to be able to apply the brakes.
Unless his dead weight falls onto the brake. I mean, that's happened. I mean,
That's possible.
the skid marks on the roadway, all of that stuff. It's what you piece together doing any accident reconstruction. That's all really important physical evidence for something like this.
Let's first talk about the deputy sheriff of Marshall County.
Let's do it.
35 at the time, young guy. You saw he had cool glasses.
I love the old police haircuts on those interviews.
I like the brown uniform and those big glasses, which are now back in style, interestingly enough.
Yeah,
It
it wasn't a great time for the color scheme of police uniforms.
No, not so much.
Wasn't a great time
The
period.
chips was pretty cool. He was known as calm, rational.
I did love Chips.
It was a great show. Great show. Yeah. He had a clean record, right? And he's not. By the way, he's not a. This is probably important. He's not a UFO enthusiast. He had no interest in the subject whatsoever. Married, 2 kids, steady temperament. He worked the overnight shift, probably so he can get the night differential. Not a bad idea.
Hey,
Hey,
sometimes that can be pretty. That can be pretty deep night differential. I get night differential right now.
it's excellent.
Yeah, it's a game
Uh,
changer.
It's a game changer, and I'm bringing this up because his credibility is pretty good. This is not like a loose cannon that's a a
Right.
conspiracy theorist on America's Strangest History and doing something else. No, he's just some police officer, has no interest in the subject of UFOs. Who
Yeah.
knows? We don't know. I don't know. He may have a personal belief in them. I don't know. Just
Yeah,
because
well, his reputation within the department is going to be something that's important too. He seemed to be a well-liked guy, somebody that was reliable. People could count on him. That goes a really long way when looking into these claims, for sure.
he seemed pretty credible from his interview, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, his body language, everything that was coming off,
Yeah.
he seemed remarkably, credible, lucid, all of that stuff. His reputation within the department is a big deal because you're going to be able to tell immediately based on that alone whether you should start going down the road of someone either faking this or trying to make a quick buck off of this. You know who those guys are, and you can tell who those guys are pretty immediately. So
Well,
that's important to me, at least, to look at off of the initial diving into the case.
Well, far from making money, he put his job in jeopardy, his
Absolutely.
career, his personal.
Especially at that time. This is not something that happened a lot back then, because I don't think they would have had much protection.
Yeah, I don't think that they would either.
No, and for him, like you said, for him to come out and essentially risk his career, risk his badge, which is not something that you do, over something that he made up and could possibly have holes poked in, it's thin.
I think it's also important as far as the setting is concerned. Flat farmland. There are no lights anywhere. Okay, no lights. Okay, they know there was no planes. They
Right.
know there was no other vehicles. It is literally the kind of the quietest part of near the town of Stephen, Minnesota. It's it's part of the very, very quiet country, very, very quiet area. So there's not a lot of movement. So whatever this bright light is, it's definitely out of place. It's not
Yeah.
a drone. I don't know. Who knows? The government's always like 30 years ahead.
Yeah, but that would be, to base it on that is pretty loose.
Yeah, it is. There's no other. Before, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but right after I hear all this stuff, the first thing I think is EMP, electromagnetic pulse, some form of directed energy discharge. That's what I can see is happening, right? Because it affected the electrical components of the vehicle. It's but what I can't reconcile is how the windshield was blown outward, unless because that presupposes that the concussive force started within the cabin and
Right. It
pushed
has to originate from the inside.
So that is something I can't reconcile. We'll circle back to that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you a question? Was he found inside the car unconscious, or was he a distance away?
No, he actually he woke up in the car on his own and
Okay,
then radioed
okay.
and he's like, "Hey, I need some help." He said,
Got you,
Yeah,
got
he
you.
said I was something happened.
Well, the radio still working is interesting.
That's
If the electronic components of his watch, of the rest of the car, were compromised and his radio still was functioning, that's a pretty important factor, if you ask me.
maybe he had an independent, not one attached to the vehicle, but an independent handheld.
That's totally possible and probable, actually definitive. You always take out your handheld, but I think that's a good indicator for it not being an EMP, because an EMP doesn't discriminate on electronic components. It fries everything. So whatever this thing was came in contact with the vehicle and fried it, but it didn't fry anything else. Well, I guess his wristwatch, but the radio still functioning is strange to me.
His wristwatch. Oh yeah, hey, his wristwatch.
Chris, oh sorry, I was just going
Oh.
to answer a question.
Oh, answer the
So
question.
Chris, when we're conducting an investigation, whether it be accident reconstruction or something on a house, you're going to be able to tell where the entrance was based on where the force originated from, based on where the material is dispersed to. So think of if we have someone breaking into a house, the glass and the shatter is going to go inside. So you're going to find evidence of that break-in on the inside of the house. If somebody smashes a window from inside the house, all of that debris is going to be on the outside of the house. So we know that the windshield was broken from the inside because all of the indicator marks and the puncture the glass was pushed outwardly. So we can tell that it broke towards the outside instead of, if you can imagine something hitting from the outside of the windshield, it would break inside. So we know that it pushed out.
Chris is like, all right, I'm taking notes because I'm planning on breaking into my neighbor's car. Thanks.
Now everybody watching knows how to cover up a break-in. There's an interesting spin-off series.
Yeah.
How to get away with
crimes. We would be demonetized faster than.
YouTube. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
Exactly. Bing, bang, boom. I mean, we got demonetized for the most ridiculous things. We know that he was the only person out there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually, if you think about it, he's patrolling a stretch of road that really has no one on it.
Right.
Right. It's 1:40 in the morning. Very, very dark. County Road 5.
Sure. You're not expecting much activity.
No, you're not. Well, maybe like a drunk driver, but in that area, probably not.
It's pretty desolate out there.
So what is he expecting? He's expecting nothing. Could he have suffered?
Probably a quiet night.
I don't think it was what is it? There are plenty of those channels. I think, could it have been a organic issue? Could he have suffered a stroke? It would certainly explain.
It would explain his. It could explain what he's seeing and loss of consciousness, but it wouldn't explain the physical impacts and evidence that we have. I mean, the
antennas, 2 antennas bent at 90-degree angles.
Yeah, I don't know much about the antennas on some of these old vehicles. I know now it's not that, like, you could bend an antenna by hand, like these days.
Those ones you can't.
And that low on the antenna, like bending it at 90 degrees at the bottom of it is probably pretty damn near impossible. You could probably bend it in the middle, but where it was bent, I don't think is possible. But the only thing that would cause that kind of exit from the windshield would be either him going through the windshield, which we would know about because he would be on the outside of the car, or something on the inside smashing against the windshield. But I don't think there wasn't any documented loose debris or anything like that. So
no, but I'm looking through that video. I'm trying to scrub because I want to see which way. I think it's important. Which way are they bent? Because if they're bent away from the window, that would at least go.
Excellent point.
Right, it would support the idea that the concussive force blasted out with the windshield.
Yeah.
But if it's bent towards the window,
then you have opposing forces,
and yet the window was still blown from the inside out.
Right. So you would have two opposing forces acting on each other somehow,
which is highly unlikely and
violates physics. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, let's think. One of the things I'm going to go into, I did a lot of research into ball lightning, and I just want to.
Yeah, I've heard of this before.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on one of our other.
Did we?
Classes, one of our other videos. I think we briefly talked about it. It's like probably one of the most like disputed, scientific things, like other than ignis fatuus or swamp gas, which is actually it's a real thing, swamp gas, and it's actually really cool. If you should watch videos on it. Very, very interesting to see swamp gas. This was not swamp gas. Ball lightning is real, but it's extremely rare. It's an electrical phenomenon. They believe that it's a floating sphere of plasma, right? A new superheated form of matter, right? Mm-hmm. It's think of it like electricity charged gas. It's usually seen as like a glowing sphere, similar to what he said, but the size could be anywhere between like a golf ball and a basketball. This one, I think, duration, by the way, let me put this out, 1 to 10 seconds. This guy did say it happened faster than he could react.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Duration 1 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
but it moved.
Yeah,
It moved
that's what.
from
Right.
the road when he got near it, and then went to him.
Yeah, I don't know what the behavior of that phenomenon is, but it doesn't
It's not that.
sound to match up with all of a sudden, increasing to massive speeds towards somebody.
Well, I'll say one thing. The lightning, these ball
Hmm.
lightnings, when they do occur, they occur near the ground and near electrical sources. So we might say, oh well, his car has electrical sources, but
Hmm.
they don't normally appear unless it is, immediately following or
Right.
during a thunderstorm. So
And
it's
it
not like
also,
you walk outside on a beautiful day and you see ball lightning
right.
flying around. That's not the
And I
case.
also would think that it would appear, if it's appearing near electrical sources as its source, I don't think it would appear like far away from that source in the middle of nowhere and then increase towards it. You know what I'm saying? Like this thing seemed to manifest like yards, feet, whatever down the road in front of him. So I wouldn't think that would indicate that his vicinity would be a source of it, because then it would have manifested right on top of him, right near him. Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and go ahead.
could there be microwave radiation trapped inside the sphere? I'm just trying to think how he got these welder burns on his face.
Yeah,
How'd that happen?
it's a great question. The only things that I know of that could cause something like that, I mean, ultraviolet radiation, phosphorescent bulbs, if you break them, like the dust from inside there could cause light burns. Like you said, welding arcs, things like that. Nothing that we would see occurring in our natural environment just out of nowhere, especially at 1:40 in the morning, in the middle of nowhere, that I can think of would cause some injury like that.
I just don't understand how. Look,
What?
could he have like, you know, no, he didn't smash his head. What did the source of this problem originate inside the vehicle or was it outside? He says he saw something on the outside. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand how it goes from an outside phenomenon to doing damage on the outside to now all of a sudden being an inside phenomenon that is pushing outward. How does that happen? Unless, of
Yeah.
course, it's somehow entered, it passed through the car, entered the
Hmm.
cabin, and then
And
burst
then
out.
exited. Yeah. Right. That's actually, the only thing that I was thinking was that if it somehow passed through the windshield and then exited the windshield with a force. Again, other than something else impacting the windshield from the inside the car that we don't know about, but then we would have, massive evidence of skid marks on the outside of the vehicle on the roadway of him jamming on the brakes. We don't have that. So nothing is really indicative of an inside impact. Because to cause that impact, he would have had to slam on his brakes. And there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
There's none.
None. And I don't know what the physical makeup of these lightning ball of lightning is, but
Plasma.
I don't.
Plasma.
Well, I'm saying I don't know if it has the physical mass to cause damage if you drive through it, if you walk through. I don't know.
Well, it says it doesn't have the torque to be able to affect
Right.
like a physical structure.
Like standing matter. Yeah.
Yes, so it wouldn't have bent the antennas. It wouldn't have
Right.
damaged the vehicle. Um, it also travels at like walking speed. He said this thing
Yeah.
moved really fast, faster than he could
Right.
react, I believe, is what he said.
Right.
So there's
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right, Gene. Yeah, the eye burns is what we're trying to reconcile.
Yeah, that's exactly
Again,
what I'm trying to reconcile.
ultraviolet light is the only thing I can think of that would cause that kind of damage, and it would have to be really concentrated, I would think.
And ball lightning does not have ultraviolet light,
Hmm.
so it doesn't cause welder burns.
Yeah, and that's true too. Gene was also talking about how, of course, these things always happen in the middle of nowhere, because it would be great if we had some other eyewitness account. Maybe, I mean, especially in a flat, open area, you would think somebody from miles away probably would have been able to see this.
Yeah, but there were no houses in the area. It was literally
Right.
flat farmland as far as you can go. So
Right. But that line of sight, that's actually a picture perfect environment to have something like this happen, because you can see it from as far away as your eyes can see light, but there was nobody around to see
yeah,
it.
nobody around. Now, aside from his wristwatch and his clock, the digital clock on the car going out, The lights blew out also.
The headlights on the car, right?
As well as the police lights on the top. They all blew out. So that's just another piece of information for the for trying to collect here, because it seems that a lot of things were affected. Not his radio, as you pointed out.
Right.
He may have had it. Maybe they had an independent source, power source radio or something like that. For emergencies. I don't know.
Your radio is going to have a battery in it.
Yeah, but I would expect that battery to have an instant discharge if it was hit with a major EMP.
Right, but again, if we're talking about an indiscriminate electronic burst of energy, yeah, it would be fried like everything else around there. But if we're starting to lean towards the idea that this could have been something else, it might have had more of a targeted aspect to it, or it might have been an energy surge that just blew out the stuff in the vehicle that was connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
If it made contact, if it's going through the front of the vehicle, it could have made contact with the vehicle's battery, with the engine, and anything connected to that, it could have blown out. It blew out the top lamps. It blew out the headlights. It didn't come into contact with all of those things. But those are all major components that would be connected to the vehicle's electrical system itself.
Yeah. The antennas were bent forward. That means that the concussive burst, I just confirmed it. If they were bent forward, there was a force. There was some force coming from inside the cabin. There was a force.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that force, maybe it was a force of energy. I suspect it was a force of energy because it blew out all the electronics. But
and it had to have entered the vehicle somewhere.
And it had to have had the ability to act in a directed discharge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
through the window directly in front.
Right.
How does that happen?
I don't know. And pass through material without affecting it before affecting it on the way out.
I wanted to point that out. Here's my theory on that, and you guys tell me what you think. I happen to know, I believe that neutrinos are probably the only thing in the whole universe that we know of that just like they float. There's nothing that could stop it. They just like float through walls. They float through lead. Literally nothing can stop it. They just float through everything as if it doesn't exist.
What is it?
It's called a neutrino.
Okay, I've established that. What is it though? Is it like a person? Is it a being? Is it a energy source?
Oh no, it's like smaller than an atom. It's a particle.
Okay.
It's an unknown particle, and I know these particles. At least my understanding is that they can. We don't really understand how they work too much, for my limited understanding, but we do know that there's no barriers to them, and we don't understand how they just like literally float around. They could float through everything, and nobody has any idea. That's right. So I'm talking about neutrino. So I'm wondering, could this have been, I don't know, a spontaneous neutrino burst? But I don't know, but I've never heard of that. I just made that up.
But do they have the capability to cause physical damage to something if there's enough of them? I don't.
Well,
so something, whatever this thing we're dealing with has to have the properties to both be able to pass through something and then also cause physical damage to something. Whether if it chooses to or by some natural occurring reason. It passes through something 1 second and then causes damage to it another second.
The vehicle is still running. Isn't that interesting?
That's really interesting.
Electronics blow out, but your vehicle's still running. Well, it was 1979. It's not like we got it's not like Model X back there gets an EMP, you're done. You're not going anywhere. But maybe on a 1979, whatever he was driving, there's probably zero electronics in it besides the starter and maybe the clock on the I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe the engine itself could have survived that. But again, there was enough components left undamaged that it's almost as if some of these emergency capabilities were being, if not targeted, they were the only things affected for some reason.
And it still reminds me of the Todd Morden incident. By the way, you know what's really funny? So many viewers, when we did Todd Morden, hey, I know Todd Morden. I'm from Todd Morden. That guy, Ziggy's my cousin. Some other guy goes, I'm from Todd Morden too. He's my cousin. Some other viewers like, yeah, dude, everybody's from Todd Morden and everybody's related to each other in that town.
Really? I didn't know that.
Anything about it, like all these Todd Morton.
That's hilarious.
At first, I was like, "Wow, what are the odds of that?" Then another person. Apparently, we got the whole Todd Morton community on here,
That's really funny.
and they're
That
all
Gene.
related to that guy Ziggy.
Wow. Good. Let's have one of them on. Gene asks a great question. If we know if there's any type of military facility or setting in that environment, and that I don't know.
We did look into that. There was nothing. Nothing. And that's a really, 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 really good idea. But you know what? Here's the thing. Even if there, let's say there, even if there was, if whether there was or there wasn't, the government has said we didn't have anybody flying in the area. So I guess it boils down to, do you believe them? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
wow.
saying?
Okay.
It boils down to that. We don't have anybody.
No, I know we have that top secret facility over there, but that has nothing to do with that. Don't worry about it. Trust me.
Yeah.
I swear.
Well,
I swear. This has nothing to do with us.
The official story on Roswell has changed. I used to follow this very closely because I found it fascinating. I think it was like 5 or 6 times. It's officially changed 6 times. So has their position, as we know, in Area 51 has changed over the years. They denied it even existed for years.
Yeah, their official stories on it change, but it always ends basically the same way. Guys, trust us this time. I swear.
Yeah.
For real. For real.
Yeah. And you end up like that last video we did with the human radiation trials. Or the Plum Island.
Yeah, that's
That's unbelievable.
I love anything to do with Plum Island. It's great.
Yeah, you love going boating. Yeah.
Don't put that out over the internet.
I haven't even been out there. You have.
Don't put that over the internet, bro.
You think they're going to come here and go out to Plum Island? Good luck.
What are you doing? No, I mean, that's a military facility is obviously a great question. I think that's one of the fascinating parts about this is that the setting of it was literally just in the middle of nothing. There's nothing out there. There's no people out there. There's no airports out there. There's no highways out there. There's no sources of artificial light. There's no aerial phenomenon. There's literally nothing. It's flat. It's open. Zero light pollution. Zero urban effects from anywhere nearby.
I have his exact radio call. You're gonna love this. So.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So he didn't immediately call.
Well, he was unconscious, right?
Well, he was unconscious when he came to. He kind of like looked around. He was a little like, "Where am I?" He didn't have any memory missing time. Then he picked up his radio and he said, "Something hit my car. I don't know what. Send a car."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he sounded like he was in pain, confused, shaky, and then dispatch sent assistance. What do we think of that?
Let's hear it. Yeah, I mean, if you wake up in your patrol car after suffering an impact like that, I mean, he probably thought he was under attack. He probably thought somebody tried to attack him, and he probably didn't know what was going on. So the only lifeline you have at that point is calling for backup, is your radio. Thank God it still worked.
I have to say what he said. I probably would go under the assumption it was a hit and run as well. That's why I would say he hit me. I would
of course.
Or something hit me. Maybe it was who knows? It could have been a satellite that fell down. I don't know. It could have been anything. Something hit me. Probably would have thought it was a motorcycle, right? Because it's a bright light.
Yeah. Well, your mind is going to go to the most logical explanation at that point, especially if you're just waking up from being unconscious. You don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah. No idea.
You're probably gonna, especially in law enforcement, like. You're gonna assume, all right, the craziness that enters your mind. It's gonna be like, it wasn't anything like that. Whatever I think I saw, there has to be a logical explanation.
They transported him for a medical evaluation. Okay, and then they began a formal investigation.
Right.
Now, I think Johnson did not escape. Like a frightening object. Right. He woke up after the event had ended. So it's not like I meant to say. So it's not like he was freaking out and he saw nothing other than the bright light and then was out for a period of time. Right.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. There was no trace of it. It's gone. So he just saw a very brief moment of this.
Yeah. That's why the missing minutes portion of this is not as compelling to me, because I think the missing minutes thing really comes into play when people have those like location jumps or when they can't account for like days and they don't remember. He fell unconscious. So of course he's going to have missing time. You know, he fell unconscious for a period and then woke up in the same spot, in the same setting, in the same thing. It wasn't like he was transported and he missed 2 days, or he had no idea, you know, he ended up in a completely different place. That, I think he was just unconscious from whatever took place.
I still can't get over the fact that no debris that were found inside or outside the vehicle. So, and I want to, once again, he did not kick the window out.
Right.
So, but the glass was broken. Well,
Or it was pushed out. It wasn't fully broken, right?
maybe the reason that it didn't shatter was because it was not a physical push. Maybe it was, like I said, a concussive force, but not enough to shatter it, and not enough to shatter it enough that you got broken pieces everywhere.
Yeah, right. I
Which
think that's plausible.
Because if it was stronger, he might be dead, not just
Yeah,
unconscious.
it didn't fully break the windshield. So there was no debris because it only pushed it out. Whatever it was only enough to push it out. It was some kind, you know, whatever energy surge it had only had enough physical manifestation to push the windshield out and crack it.
The dome.
Because the windshield
Go ahead.
because the windshield's not supposed to shatter. It's built not to shatter.
Well, but in 1979, I don't know if that necessarily we have that.
I would think probably there would still be some. I mean, the windshield's part of a structural integrity of a car.
See, Chris said exactly what I just said. Go call Chris.
Yeah, very true. I don't know enough about it to comment on that.
Now, the dome light filament was burned. Filaments burn when there's a voltage spike, right?
Yeah.
An electrical discharge happens, or
Right.
there's a flash explosion. So I said there's some kind of concussive force, but then what created this?
Right.
There's no storms, so meteorological is out. I think the ball lightning is completely out. It doesn't even fit.
Yeah. Right.
That doesn't even
None of it does.
No. I mean, dare I say it? You know, can I say what we're all thinking?
Say it.
Was he abducted?
I don't know if I would go that far as to say that, because again, we have no evidence of him leaving, being moved, being disturbed. A lot of times when that happens, or when you have that report, I feel like the people are removed or brought back in some kind of different manner, 10 feet away from where they were, or up the road a little bit, or missing this gap of time. He was still just in his car. But is it possible that he encountered something extraterrestrial or anything like that? I think you can start to go down that road, because none of our evidence is matching up here.
He may have gotten a concussion due to his
Welcome,
fast-
Squirrely John,
Yeah,
into the
welcome,
chat.
Shirley John. Evening, folks. Hope everyone is okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he may have got a concussion from when the vehicle finally came to a stop. If there was a quick deceleration,
Yeah, he went down into a ditch, right?
it went into a ditch. Correct.
Yeah, that's possible.
He may have suffered a concussion, but they're not mutually exclusive. He may have suffered a concussion, but that doesn't explain the welding burns that he has.
No, it was clearly some highly concentrated light, for sure, that has to cause those burns like that, right? But whatever's giving off that light had to have enough physical matter to cause this damage to the car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, one of my favorite names to say. I really love that name because it sounds like Heine, but it's Hynek.
There it
Dr.
is.
J. Allen Hynek was in charge of Project Blue Book. He was a major skeptic, and then by the time Blue Book was finished, he was so convinced that he became a strong advocate for UFO disclosure. Anyway, he investigated with his team. He believed that Johnson's injuries were genuine. The damage pattern was consistent with electrical energy flash. There was no evidence of a staged hoax. Now, keep in mind, Blue Book was created specifically to debunk all. So that's what. It's not like they're looking. Okay, we're going to document it. We're going to see if this is true or not. No, they were actually
Right.
created specifically to go out and debunk these issues. But he found, like I said, injuries are genuine. The damage is electrical or energy flash. There's no evidence of a hoax. I'll say it again. There is no evidence of a hoax, he found. These are the official government debunkers. Skid marks are consistent with being unconscious. Okay.
You're right.
The clock evidence, impossible to fake. This is the findings of J. Allen Hynek. Antenna bends are too clean for manual force. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. The windshield fracture pattern was unusual and is not replicable, by a rock strike. It's not
Right.
rocks hitting it.
Yeah.
So these are all the findings of Project Blue Book. You know what I'm saying? So that's their position. Now, Philip Klass, he was a skeptic. He investigated this, and he came up with his theory.
Let's hear it.
Johnson may have fallen asleep. He might have been hit by a truck mirror.
Yeah, that one I don't get. How is that? Where did the truck mirror impact?
Hey, sometimes you could be driving alone. You could be completely alone at night on the road, and a truck mirror just appears in your cabin right next to you. Just
and
like
pushes
that.
your windshield out. Yeah.
I didn't say there was a truck, just a truck mirror.
Yeah, that one threw me for a
Sounds
loop.
like a stretch. We need a debunker to debunk the skeptic's argument.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
without a doubt. That's
said-
a terrible, terrible argument.
He says that it is possible a flash may have induced hallucination. That's very possible. But
Absolutely.
it brings us back to the question: where was that flash coming from?
And what would have caused the rest of the physical damage that doesn't correspond to normal accident reconstruction?
There's that.
Again, there's no paint scrapes. There's no tell me the guy hit a street sign. Tell me it was consistent with him hitting a street sign or anything like that. Nothing. Nothing under normal accident reconstruction circumstances can explain the damage that happened. It just doesn't.
A truck mirror impact would leave a physical debris of some kind. We can agree on
Yeah,
that.
and where did it impact?
In the head, maybe he had his head out.
I mean, a truck mirror impacting the middle of the windshield means the rest of the car would have been a tin can curled up and over 6 times because it would have hit a truck.
I think they were suggesting that it may have hit his head, not the windshield, because
So what? He gets out of the car,
Maybe
gets
his head
impacted
was
by a truck mirror.
Out the window of a car. If it's a nice night, there's nobody around, I might stick my head out, get a breath of fresh air.
How is a truck mirror going to be on the same level as his head if he's in a police sedan?
I
And
think you should ask that. You should direct that question to Philip J. Klass, Klass, Klass.
and is the force of impact from the truck mirror is going to blow out all the electronics on his vehicle?
Oh, I'm going to respond to XO Gene.
That's Gene.
XO. Yeah, Gene. Well, lightning, I'm going to say no, because there was no storms, no thunderstorms. I mean, we know what the weather was at the time. We are aware of that. We know, and so that's not a case.
Yeah, I think Paul
Spontaneous lightning.
makes a great point talking about how there's no random object that's going to cause, like, look, sure, can one of those things be explained by damage on the roadway? Maybe. It's still a stretch, but nothing is going to cause the important thing here, and especially looking at it from not even looking at it from UFOs, looking at it from a police investigative standpoint, is that nothing is going to be able to cause all of this competing evidence. Usually evidence is all supposed to point down the same road as something. It's supposed to lead you down the same conclusion. All of this evidence contradicts itself, contradicts each other, which doesn't happen and cannot happen based on one object. It just can't. It's not evidence.
So let's say right now, you're one of the guys on the force calls you up, tells you exactly what this guy said.
Yeah.
You come out and respond.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? We're going to chalk this up to unsolved, file it away as we don't know, and that's it?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume, the good part about police work now is that I would probably have a lot more technology to go off of. We'd probably have dash cam, body cam, something like that to review.
Yes, sure you would. Well, let's assume, for instance, the dash cam wasn't working because, after all, you know that there was an electrical discharge.
Sure,
Let's say that wasn't working. That's out of the way. So you have no. All you have is his testimony. Take it for
Yeah.
what you will.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't know. I would probably try to figure out if there was any naturally occurring phenomenon around the area that could cause that. That would be
And that's
the
when you rule
first way that I would. And yeah, if that's ruled out, I don't know what we go on after that. I
out.
don't.
What do you do then?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe
Stare at a wall?
the best fit, yeah, and charge overtime for it. The best the best physical explanation that you have to go. Maybe I would start investigating what could cause those burns on his eyes. Go down that road because at least that could lead me to something concrete. What could cause those burns? Okay, these are the five
Well,
or six different things that can cause that. Let's investigate that. Could that have been possible to be present at this scene? I don't know. You start pulling on a string and anywhere that it could lead you and try and put that at the scene at that time. Could that give us any explanation? That's the only way you have to go on this. If you're
okay.
trying to look at it investigatively and we're not trying to investigate the supernatural part of this.
I have a possible solution. I mean,
Let's hear it.
how do we know he's not moonlighting as a welder at night? Right? Could have been moonlighting as a welder. Maybe he got welder burn.
What was he welding in the middle of a deserted highway at 1:30 in the morning? So you're saying he hoaxed all this and he's just trying to explain away so he doesn't lose his moonlighting job.
So he doesn't lose his pension. He brought his
Hmm.
work in the back of the trunk. He starts welding on the side of the road. That's why he's in the middle of nowhere, because no one's
What
going
is
to.
he?
I
What
don't
is he
know.
welding that he's carting around in the back of the truck?
I'm just trying to give you. Yeah, that's probably a bad one. Hey, it's better than Mr. Class. I think
He's
it's better,
hurling around.
it's better than Class.
That's true. That's true.
It's better
I
than.
could. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a little research and I noticed that there were a lot. They called it a UFO flap. There have been a bunch of UFOs in that very area prior.
Oh, Gene, I love that.
Not too much.
A moonshine distillery exploded. That's what
That's
did
a
it.
good
I
point.
love that explanation. That's what I would go with. That's what I would officially rule it as. That's fantastic.
So maybe
I
he's a
love that.
drunk and he was looking into a barrel and
Because,
blew up.
well, you better believe if that's the possibility, you better believe I'm visiting every distillery in the area extensively for the next month while I investigate
I
this.
bet you are. No, but if you find that there is no, it has to be a UV damage. He has extremely
Hmm.
severe UV damage,
Right. So what can cause that, and how can I
not
put it at the scene?
not a ball lightning and not a thunderstorm,
Okay.
because there were no thunderstorms and the weather was fine. So what do you do now? Do you
So
actually just say, well, I guess unknown, and just like, how do you explain it? How do we memorialize this? Because the investigation clearly has come to a halt.
you're right. And this is the point in an investigation where it's very important not to start forcing square pegs into round holes. If you don't have something, you have to recognize that you don't have something. You can't just start forcing explanations. I don't know. Again, my course of action would be investigate the things that I have physical evidence for and try and figure out if what could cause those things could have been present at the scene of the crime. And if they can't, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, would this possibly help you out to
Hmm.
know that 3 years earlier, 1976, just north of where Johnson was patrolling,
Hmm.
multiple witnesses had a CE1, close encounter one, which is a close visual encounter. Several farmers near Stephen, Minnesota, they spotted a brilliant white oval-shaped object. It was hovering low over the fields.
Hmm.
The object remained stationary, then made sharp angled movements,
Hmm.
and like we see on TV that aircraft cannot make, right?
Yeah.
The household lights reportedly dimmed briefly on two homes.
Okay.
Interesting, right? Because we have a
Yeah.
noticeable disturbance. Deputies were called, but the object vanished before their arrival, of course,
Hmm.
right?
Can I ask you a question? Was this object in those eyewitness statements, if you know, was this object seen as, uh, was it remaining or was it a quick encounter? Like you said, it was gone by the time deputies arrived. Was it kind of remaining about? Was it lingering or did it
Was-
take off?
In fact, it was remaining
Okay.
stationary.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? I would have walked
That's
up.
that's a great point that Chris makes in the chat is known unknowns versus unknown unknowns. And that's the difference in an investigation. That could be the difference in an investigation. Wow, I would be very interested to know that. And I would, if I was privy to that, I would certainly run down those leads again. I'd re-interview everybody.
How about
because now you have what we would call a pattern in practice. You have documentable proof that these things have happened before, and it's a very similar occurrence. So yeah, that would be very intriguing.
how about if I told you that months before Johnson's incident, multiple motorists reported a ball of brilliant light skimming the highway shoulder. One witness reported temporary radio static. Others said that there was like a white blue sphere the size of a basketball. The phenomenon moved silently and then disappeared in seconds. Now that actually sounds like ball lightning to me because the size of a basketball.
Sure.
That's the only thing that makes me think that. But it's interesting. It was skimming, but months earlier.
Yeah, now that we have all of these reports, I would start to think, if I was privy to this information, that
Which I purposely didn't tell you.
I know you did because you do that.
That's how,
Um,
that's how we
I
do
would want to know
it. Yeah.
what could possibly. So, okay, we have two things. If this is a naturally occurring phenomenon, let's just say, for argument's sake, there is something that's causing it. So, what about this area, this environment, could possibly be causing this thing to keep happening, right? So, I'd start comparing the nights, the weather, the things that were occurring on each one of these encounters. Is there anything similar going on that we can start to point to? If we're talking about something that is supernatural, what about this area is intriguing to it? Is there something we don't know about this area? Like Gene said, maybe a potential military thing. We have evidence in the past of UFOs, kind of pooling around military installations. What about this area in the middle of nowhere would possibly be attracting extraterrestrial activity if that's the case? So those are the two things I would be thinking of.
Do you see I changed my name? Instead of Dr. J. Allen Hynek,
You changed your name to where? Oh, I love it. I love that I was making a very salient point and you were doing that the whole time.
yes, because I want someone to go to put in a complaint that I'm claiming to be a medical doctor. No, I'm not. Although I am a Juris doctor, right? Technically, so I'm a Juris
Oh,
doctor.
Paul brought up a nice point too, that the 90-degree angle on the antennas is the same reported phenomenon that they say in the crop circles with the stalks bent at 90 degrees.
That's true. That's true.
That's a nice parallel.
I should
And
actually
Gene
go into that, actually. I can
and
talk-
Gene's talking about heat lightning, which is a very naturally occurring phenomenon too.
True, but that wasn't the case here. That's a good point, but that wasn't the case because it wasn't at a temperature that would the temperature and conditions were not conducive to heat lightning. That was ruled out.
I think that's what she's talking about. She talked about lightning in the south with no storm, which I
Yeah,
would
we've seen that.
think of as heat lightning.
Yeah, I've seen that. Now, 4 years before Johnson, we had a CE2. That's another one of Johnson's, close encounter of the second kind. That's electrical interference. A large glowing light. Okay, it hovered over a rural road. Multiple vehicles experienced their engine sputtering, radio static, headlights dimming. One driver reported static shock when he was trying to restart the car. The power flickered in like nearby farmhouses. So we have another similar thing. This was 4 years earlier.
Yeah, so I would have a ton of evidence to go off of on this case. We have a lot of
A
witnesses
lot
to
more. I
interview.
got 1 year before, I've got two
Go ahead.
highway. Get this, 1 year before, two highway patrol officers, official report, a CE2, electrical interference. Officers saw bright spherical light at low altitude. Vehicle dash lights dim. The lights dimmed. Police radio experienced severe interference. The object hovered and then it shot upward and vanished instantly.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm re-interviewing all of these witnesses. This is a lot of stuff to go on. I love it.
All right. I mean, so what is that going to tell you though?
Again, it's going to tell me first we're looking for so we're looking for the
Glowing
odd things
sphere.
out. Yeah, but see, you're focusing on the wrong thing. We're trying to explain that phenomenon. We're not trying to the glowing sphere is not a murder suspect that we're trying to find and identify. We are trying to see if we can find any similarities between these stories, because then that's going to help us start explaining things. So we want to know, okay, like I said, if we're explaining this as a naturally occurring phenomenon, all right, what is similar about all of these nights in question or all of these things? Are they occurring at a similar place, on a roadway, on a similar road, maybe a road that goes through the same stretch of highway? What are the weather conditions? Is there barometric pressure that's similar? Is there humidity that's similar? Is there a thunderstorm rolling in? Maybe there's a thunderstorm in another part of the state that's affecting conditions over here that keeps occurring. So that we got to find the similarities first or the differences. That's going to tell us the whole story. So if we can link these events together by any kind of similarly occurring circumstance, then we start the ball rolling. So that's how you build a case,
What if I
even
were to tell
against
you?
supernatural events.
I was about to say, what if I were to tell you that all the meteorological events had nothing to do with it? They were all there. There's no commonality there. There's
Okay.
no commonality in anything other than some of the symptoms that I've described, right?
Okay. Then I'm going to, again, hit the pavement and start talking to the witnesses. I want to know what about their stories might be similar or different. Maybe we can find some
Let's
kind
assume they're
of
all the same.
linking. Okay, but they're the same at the time of the encounter, right? Maybe I can find some linking event in the outside circumstances of their lives or of their jobs or of their anything that I can find to start linking these things together. And to do that, you have to completely tear something down and start from the bottom. So I want to know everything about these people, their family histories, their living situations, their that's credible is great. I'm not saying I'm trying to discredit them. I'm saying I want to find what I can about these people that may be similar, because similarities gives me leads, and then I can start looking at those things and maybe trying to explain something.
Well, I can't help but say this in a way reminds me of the Roy Sullivan case. I think we
Remind me of that one.
did this a long time ago. It's a guy who I believe he got struck by lightning 14 times in his
Yeah, I
life.
remember that. Yeah.
And he died of like suicide actually in old age.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh
I
at
don't know
that.
if I was allowed to
That's
say
just
that. Well, I don't know. It's too late. I said
allegedly. Just say allegedly.
no, I said
allegedly.
you can't even say that.
Oh, yes, he
That-
unalived himself. You have to say.
I'm not even going to say that. Just say nothing.
Hmm.
But anyway, he did that because he was for other reasons. But anyway, he lived till very, pretty old age, and he got
Yeah.
struck by lightning. It's unbelievable. He could survive once, survive
Yeah.
14 times. His head caught on fire. He used to carry water with him,
That's crazy.
so that he could like douse his head in case he gets struck. He doesn't like his hair getting on fire. It's just crazy that he was able to survive that time. But I bring that up because it's like maybe we don't know why that happened with him. But maybe there's something about certain people that attract
Absolutely. Now
energy,
you're starting to get what I'm saying.
positive, negative ions. Who knows?
Right. So maybe there's something in the background of these people's lives. Something as crazy as, like, I don't know, maybe they all lived, I don't know, near a power plant or something. That's a stupid example, but
Chernobyl.
there could be some kind of commonality in their past or in a career that they had or anything like that you could link together to say, all right, there's some reason why this happened to these people across this stretch of time. I'm not saying that is the case, but that's what I would do if I was running this investigation. I would start tearing into these people if I had not tearing in a negative way. I shouldn't say it like that. I would just start interviewing them, understanding about these people, so I could see if there's any commonality. And if there's not, then I don't know where we go from there, to be honest with you. We document it and we put it on the shelf until we can start figuring out what's going on.
And I guess you write up the accident as when you're filing the report as unknown cause.
Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing that cops do is, again, like I said before, is try and fit something into a story that doesn't go. You document it. Your job is to document things. If you're not responding to an emergency call, if you're not trying to help somebody or trying to save somebody or trying to do anything like that, you have to document these things for the future. Maybe down the road it happens again, and your case, your documentation helps them solve that. Or maybe when there's technology gets more advanced, you always have to think about that. Maybe there'll be a new way to solve this case 10 years down the road. So you document fully without your own opinion, without your own biases, without anything. You just document what happened, as crazy as it sounds. Put it on paper for the next guy.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody can figure it out.
Yeah, but this is a great case. I mean,
I would love to get my hands on the vehicle. I believe
Mm-hmm.
it's a museum. I believe it's in a museum. I read.
oh, that's great.
Yeah, I read a couple books. And what I would love to do is be able to get my hands on it to do testing of my own. I would really
Sure.
love that. Maybe we should go visit the museum.
Yeah, I'd like to see if there's any residue on it, if there's anything that got left behind by this. We have a physical contact, right?
Yeah.
So if any of the I don't know,
Reach out to that guy.
material structure, if any of the chemical makeup of any of the material on the vehicle changed or was altered, that would be a great way to test it.
If the evidence hasn't already been purged, you know what I mean?
Sure,
And now
sure.
by government forces or whatnot. What do you think? Would they have purged it, guys?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but it doesn't seem like they're putting in a lot of legwork to kind of cover this case up.
What? They're not putting enough. You don't think they're trying to cover it? Well, you don't know.
I don't think they're worrying too much about what happens in rural.
You don't think the
Where is
government's
this?
worrying too much about aliens in a rural area?
That's not. I didn't say a rural. I said this rural area. It doesn't seem like they're putting in a lot of legwork to cover this up. We don't hear any. Oh, all of a sudden this person showed up, and oh, this guy was on the scene. Black suit was on the scene. There's no
That's how you know they're doing a good job.
bullshit.
Yeah. You only hear about
Because then
when
we
they
wouldn't have heard about it. Because then we never would have heard about it.
Yeah, we only heard about it because that police officer, the brave man, Val Johnson, decides to stand up.
And did
It's-
anybody ever visit him?
Yes, they interviewed him. We saw the video.
I mean, anybody nefarious, anybody from the government, anybody with a
don't know.
3-letter agency.
He's not
Nobody
saying it.
visited him.
He's not saying anything about that. Doesn't mean it
Okay,
didn't
maybe you're right, but I don't think so.
Okay.
It doesn't look like they're turning over any roadblocks for Val Johnson.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, guys? What do you think? What do you think will happen? We're at the end of our live stream, so I want to know what everybody thinks happened here. Was this maybe he wasn't drunk,
No.
okay? I don't think it was an organic issue, which I mean, I don't think he suffered like some kind of stroke or something. Unless that stroke somehow. No, I'm sorry. I can't even jokingly say that because it makes no sense. We have a concussive force that originated from within the cabin and effectively blew out the filament in the light, caused severe UV damage to his eyes consistent with welding burning patterns. And the clock stopped. However,
And we know the thing originated from outside the vehicle.
well, we know he says he saw it outside the vehicle, but the force of impact on the inside, including, by the way, what Gene mentioned, or I think Gene mentioned it, with they were bent away from the vehicle.
Right.
Right. So there was a force that was pushing outward from the cabin. How did that force originate inside the cabin? Hey, I like Gene's explanation. I think he suffered from some sort of unexplained phenomenon. That is the most general. I think you're right, Gene. It definitely was unexplained.
Does Gene work for the government? That sounds like a government government byline.
No, Gene's like, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. I love it, Gene.
No, he's actually saying it was an unexplained phenomenon. I think he's right. His old college professor, watching as he did the studies. Can you read me what he's saying? I can't see that.
Yeah, Paul and Gene are discussing a type of
Trance?
what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, they're discussing gravitational fields. Paul works with gravitational fields and how that can react with heat and other environmental factors to kind of bend and affect standing matter. And Gene is asking him how he might quantify that. And he's saying he watches old college professor do studies on it.
Oh, really? I wonder. I want to watch that on YouTube. Maybe we should check that out. That sounds interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a naturally occurring phenomenon that can impact physical matter.
But I think we need to point this out. It's highly, highly localized, highly, highly rare. It's just like, yeah.
You're totally right, Gene. We're having
agree.
fun with you, but you're totally right.
You're actually.
Yeah.
There's a point where we can't proceed any further. That's why I said I would like to get to that vehicle because then, Gene, then we could take this to the next step.
Right.
Actually, I wonder. I'm going to go to that. I should go down there and see if, hey, would you let me take a sample? The worst they could do is say no.
Right.
Right. I can ask them, would you let me take a sample so I can, run some tests on the paint or on the glass? I'd like to take a piece of that glass if I could.
Yeah.
Right. Get it analyzed. If we could determine what kind of force, was it an electrical discharge that shut it down? I don't know. This is very, very strange. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of our live stream, and this was a very unusual encounter. Val Johnson, Sheriff Val Johnson. I would love to be able to talk to that guy. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It'd be great.
absolutely.
I'd love to talk to him and some of Ziggy Adamski's, people from Todd Morgan,
Yeah, some of his cousins. We can talk to bring his cousins on.
who apparently have a lot of knowledge of this. They knew it. They knew about the incident and stuff. And these incidents are so related. They just seem so, they have missing time.
Right.
And that it's just very unusual. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock for something pretty good.